And we're recording. Okay, welcome everybody to our Ecamm for Educators session number 3. I wasn't sure if I was waiting for you to do a little fun something on screen or just the cue that we're starting recording. So it was the cue that we're starting recording now. So we did agree, thank you everybody, that we will record because there are so many people who would like to be here but can't because of the time zone or whatever other efforts. I wanted to ask you another question. Would you I would like to create a list of those of us who form part of this. And if you're interested in receiving a reminder or links to resources and things that we put in, so it would be very minimal. Like there's certainly never going to be any spam, but we would like a way to remind everybody that the session's coming up, that it's at this time, and all of that. So if you all wouldn't mind popping your emails into the chat, and then I will start a list, keep it going, and then you'll hear from us, as the date approaches. And then at least this way we'll have, or if you wanted to, if there's something you wanted to send us a message to the group, you could let me know. So I would love to be able to basically have our own little list going. I know we communicate in Discord, but that can get tricky or a bit confusing or convoluted. So this way we also just have an old-fashioned way of reaching out to each other via the email. So, and I'm gonna add my email to that so that everybody has that. But that's it right there. Okay. Matt, you gotta be difficult. You're gonna make me go look up your email
No,
address.
I did
Thanks,
put the
Matt.
email in there separate.
Okay, great. Oh, I see it. Matthew Haas, geek at Gmail. Got it. All right, perfect. The past couple of meetings, as we were getting to know each other, we allotted a big chunk of time for us to do introductions. And what David and I were chatting about is that does take up quite a bit of time, and we have a lot that we wanted to share today in terms of Ecamm and Zoom integration. And now that we all know each other a little bit, we were tossing around a couple of ideas. One of them being, do we do short breakout rooms where everybody gets a chance to say hello? But then, of course, there's the point David brought up is that, well, when we do that, then the experience for people watching a replay changes, or if there's anybody joining us live on YouTube, it's a little bit different. But I just wanted to pop it out for us to talk about it and hear what you think about ways that we can do the format so that it serves us as a group. So what are your thoughts?
Breakout rooms might not go well with the recording. I agree with that.
Yep, I hear you, Matt. It's unless they're super fast, but so in any case, if it works for you guys, we would come up with a different way where we can get to know each other. So perhaps a little mini introduction link where here's who we all are, what we teach, where we teach, and any other additional information. So we could have like a little mini directory of who everybody is, and then we could reach out individually and build other relationships and connections if you have something in common. How would that sound?
You could do a Google form and then share the Google sheet that collects all the form entries with all the participants.
Yep. Yep, that's a good idea. Like a little input source. Yep, so that would be easy to do. That's a nice idea. Thank you, Matt. So, yes, Neil.
Maybe we could just introduce people who have joined, or newcomers, basically, as we keep doing this. If we all know each other because we're regulars and we turn up, maybe just the new people that join could introduce themselves and we could go from there.
Love that. I love that too, putting the new people on the spot. Absolutely. Yes. So,
by the way, sorry, Tatiana, quick shout out to Neil, who sent along some fantastic resources that I added to our resources page on the website. So really, really grateful to you, Neil, for that. Sorry.
Thank you very much, David. You're very welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. And David, good reminder too, an invitation for everybody else. So if you go to our website, which is Ecamm for Educators, and again, it's kind of like TED versus TEDx, where TED is Ecamm and we are TEDx because we're like an independently operated TEDx Ecamm site that is still, people who are part of the community and following very similar principles and everything, but we are completely independent of that. But when you look at our website, we have a menu. And if you look at it on mobile, you'll have the little hamburger 3 lines menu that you click on. And then we have home, links, resources, and videos. So resources is the part that David was just mentioning, that he's put some links to his videos, and then we have links to some of Neil's that will help us with content. So feel free to send David your links, and he would be happy to add these resources to our page. Great idea. I should totally send some of my videos over as well. And
And just
then
just so you know, it's not just videos. So for example, this is a downloadable, 5 steps to streaming. This is a downloadable overlay that I use. You can kind of see it now. We're a face framer, which you can use in Ecamm. This is just a link to a website. So anything you want to share that you think would be helpful, we can put up here.
thank you. And I was just about to make a rule of thirds face framer overlay to teach my students to get ready for live streaming. So thank you, David. I will grab yours if that's all right with you, if it's okay to share with my students.
Grab away.
Thank you. That's fabulous. And then on the web page, the last link where it says videos, that's where the recordings of our sessions will be. So we did not record the first one, but we did record the second one, and we are recording the third one. So that's where you can find it. And then I just wanted to also let you know that when you click on the link on our website, that opens up the link directly. Like, it will open up your Zoom browser and your Zoom app. But if you wanted to join us via the Ecamm Zoom integration, you have to enter the meeting ID. So that's something that Ed emailed me about today, and I realized, oh yeah, Ed is right. Actually, if we want to join the Ecamm Zoom integration link, then we have to enter the meeting ID number.
That's
The
interesting.
link,
It should actually work.
it
This is
didn't work
something
for
that came
me
up in the alpha testing that we talked about. It should, if it's not working, they should fix that soon. But I don't want to post the ID number on the website.
publicly.
But I'm happy if you right click on, if you click on that and it'll give you the ID number, or you can just right click on the link and it's just a redirect. That's all it is.
Yes, a good point. I tried right clicking on it, and then it gives me the link, Torah Tech Guy /Zoom, I think it is.
Yeah, but
But
if you
I
actually do something with that, it'll give you the right one. Wait, let me see. Save,
give it
copy, link,
I just
and
opened it in Google and then didn't allow Google to open Zoom. Just copied the ID and then just popped
yeah.
it into Ecamm. That's how I did it.
Yeah, I did something similar. I actually clicked the link, and then before clicking some more buttons to actually go in Zoom, I just went to the URL, copied and pasted, and then put it in the Ecamm join feature.
I just posted the direct link in the chat, so you're all welcome to save that. That's from my personal Zoom meeting. It's also my cell phone number, my social security number, and my bank account.
Let's hope not, David.
You're funny. You're so funny. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I always forget that when you're in Zoom, you cannot copy. You have to actually right click anything in that to be able to actually copy something. So, okay. So we are learning as we go. Okie dokie. Hi, Dr. Sunny. We hear you.
Oh my God. I will be able to be steady in about 15 minutes.
No
I'm
problem.
visiting family, so but I'm listening. Thank you.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody.
So glad that you're here. All right.
Yeah, I'm excited. Did you already do introductions?
Well, we actually
So
were
I'm
just
late.
talking. It's okay. It's okay. We actually were just talking about how we would introduce newcomers, allow newcomers to introduce themselves, because otherwise those of us who already know each other, it does take a while. So that's exactly what we were just discussing, which means we actually do have a couple of people coming here for the first time. So welcome, everybody. David and I co-host this monthly session for anybody who's interested in or works in education and wants to get more experience, collaborate, network. We're at all different levels on our Ecamm journey and on our online or in-person teaching journey, training, facilitating, leading. So we're so glad that you're here because we're both very much interested in being of service to our community. So the fact that this has become a reality makes me super excited. The fact that people actually come every month is fantastic, and we get to learn and grow from each other. We will focus today for the most part on the Zoom for Ecamm integration that we talked about. And I know we also are interested in the cool new addition, not new, but new to us features that David brought up last month. So I know we're going to talk about that as well. But before we go into that, those of you who are here for the first time, we would love to hear from you to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're coming from, and what you teach or how you are an educator. So that means, let's see, that means that we're welcoming Professor Randall Duncan for the first time. Welcome.
Sorry about that, but this is the same link I use in my classes for the reason for the professor. But glad to be here. It's the first time I've been able to join just because of schedule, and excited about it. I've been using Ecamm. I teach clinical mental health counseling at Nelson University in the Dallas, Texas area, SAGU University, but they're changing the name to Nelson on August 1st. And a lot of our classes are synchronous, the practicum internship, group counseling, theories. And so I use Ecamm to teach there. So just excited to have a resource like this available. Thank you for doing it.
Fabulous, fabulous. I teach at a university as well, so love to connect more with you. And then, Mark, you're joining us for the first time today as well, correct?
Yes.
Love to hear from you.
Hi, nice to meet you, everybody. My name is Mark Collins. I'm located in Southwest Virginia. I have a teaching degree in health and physical education and special education as well. I have not pursued that over the course of my professional career. I've ventured into a different profession, but I'm just getting started back, and I'm getting ready to offer classes on the OutSchool platform. So teaching health and wellness and ethics and philosophy based around the Marvel Cinematic Universe and tying that into the lessons.
I love you 3000. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
That's the coolest thing ever.
I have tried on this platform in the past with just the health and wellness approach, but I really decided to just dive into something that I'm passionate about and center everything around that. So, gonna try to discuss the decision-making process of Iron Man and Captain America and all of the great superheroes.
That is the coolest thing I've
Awesome.
ever heard in my entire life, I think.
I
You
feel
said
like
it's
you
on
should.
OutSchool?
It's a program called OutSchool.
Yeah, I've got it up here. It's really interesting.
Parents can
Outschool.com.
pay for one class at a time, or they can buy subscriptions to classes, and everything is hosted through Zoom, through their website. But
Wow.
the benefit for teaching on that platform is within certain guidelines, you can create your own curriculum and pretty much teach what you want to, and just kind of have everything be able to do what you love in terms of teaching. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
That's
I've
very
paid
cool.
I've paid for my little sister when she was younger to take classes on OutSchool, crafty things. So you can sign up for kids. It's all children, right? Mark,
Ages
it's
3
for
to
kids.
17, I believe. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that
And is
it's
it
for
all
children.
through, everything is done through Zoom?
No, they've changed their model now, and it's why I have jumped back into uh, uh, attempting to do this. They allow us to do completely self-paced courses, so you can
Oh,
pre-record all the videos and load everything on there, and then they can either buy 1 week at a time or an entire 10-week class.
wow.
And they're trying to implement also like an on-demand subscription where they can pick from a variety of different teachers at one time.
That is very cool.
Yes,
You saying
super
that
cool.
gives me inspiration. Thank you.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear how that journey goes for you, Mark, as you dive back in. And I just want to make sure everybody else I'm familiar with, just want to make sure that we've covered all of our new folks. Darren, you joined us for the first time last month. So you
Yes.
now, you only get one chance to be new. Now you're a regular. But Mark, you connected with me because you reached out with something similar to what a lot of us have had the experience where our university or our organization does not allow Ecamm to be built to be connected into Zoom. And I wanted to share this publicly and get it in the recording. And I would like to make a video about this, but same for me. I teach at Rutgers in New Jersey, and my school doesn't allow anything in. Everything is completely for security reasons, but it also just makes it difficult. So I have sent in a message to the IT department requesting the specifics and sharing the specifics and requesting access. I'm not holding my breath, but I do have a workaround. And the workaround is that I have my Mac Mini where I run Ecamm from, and then I have a second computer. So if you have a laptop or a second device, I initiate the Zoom meeting through the university and through my university account there. Then on my second machine, I join that meeting through Ecamm and Zoom integration. I enter the meeting ID, I join, and I did do the whole authorization process for that to happen, all the different steps to link the account. That's my personal Zoom account. So it's not the university one, it's a free personal one. I join that meeting, then university account accepts me as a participant, and then I make personal Zoom me co-host. So then I just leave that device alone, 100% over there. It's just sitting over there. And here on my Mac Mini, I am running the show through Ecamm. I do everything that I can do on the other computer. And as a bonus, what happened last week was that somehow my Mac Mini rebooted itself. I have no idea why, but I was still connected on the other machine. It wasn't a Wi-Fi issue. It wasn't a power issue because they're connected to the same power source. So I have no idea what happened to the Mac Mini, but I was able to just turn to this computer and then keep the meeting going. So I usually try to have two devices logged in anyway as a backup, just in case. Usually it's my cell phone, but in this case, I just wanted to let you know that it does work. I have used it now 4 times. And then this morning, I tested it out, eliminating the second device, doing everything from the same machine, opening up the Zoom app, running it through the university account, and then Zoom Ecamm integration, my personal account. And it also worked. I just had to make sure that on the meeting that I initiated from the university, I disconnected audio, right? Otherwise there would be, even if I muted my microphone, I would still have double audio coming in. So I just had to go back to my original meeting and disconnect audio. And then it worked as well. So even if you only have one device, I tested it this morning that I was still able to do that. So that's my workaround until our universities or our organizations give us access to the program. So I wanted to bring that tip and share that with you guys.
Tatiana, could you hypothetically, instead of passing yourself co-host, could you pass yourself host? Could you make Ecamm for Live the host?
If I do, then my university premium Zoom features are no longer available to me, because now then that account becomes a participant. So now there's the
Oh,
40-minute time limit, and there's all the other
because it's a
the
free
other
account.
limitations.
Understood. Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
If it wasn't,
And
then
the image
yes.
quality too. Because I'm assuming your university account has the upgraded image quality for HD.
Potentially. Yeah, I did request 1080p, and I usually see that when I'm on, and I thought I requested it for my personal, but now I need to double check on that as well. So that's a good point. I want to request that for my personal one also. And I'll make the case about the Zoom integration with Ecamm as to why I need it. But it's been working well, so I wanted to report to you guys that it actually works. This has been solid.
So have you all been using Ecamm for Zoom?
I haven't touched it very much. I'm more of a solo, personality. But
Yeah.
it seems cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. So this is a scene, the scene that I'm in now. I just grabbed Tatiana. This is, I mean, it's just simple as, Ed's used it a little. I was coaching a musician. They commented that chord charts they were looking at were blurry. Yeah. Ed, is that after you and I worked a little bit, or? Before we worked together. Okay. So hopefully it'll be a little better now. Yeah, you know what? Here's just something, because I've worked with a bunch of people on this, and Neil, I'd actually be curious to see if you agree with me or not. I think that most people are understanding Ecamm for Zoom wrong, and the use case for it. I think that what a lot of people want to do is come into a meeting like this one with audience members or students rather, and teachers or talent or whatever you're working in, and then they want to build a scene, right? They want to grab someone from in this meeting, like I just did with Tatiana, pull them into Ecamm, and then push them right back in, and then just spotlight yourself, and then you have a produced show, and bada bing, bada boom. The problem is, and you'll see this as soon as I ask Tatiana to start talking, is that there are serious sync issues, like a quarter of a second sync issues. Can you say something real quick?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. And yes, I see it even in myself. When I'm looking at us, I can see that I'm moving differently and my lips are totally out of sync. So
Right.
it is an unfortunate issue.
Right. And I mean, it's just physics, right? So if you've got your Zoom participants over here, no, let me change that. You've got your Zoom talent, we'll just call it, over here. And you've got your Zoom participants over here, and you're putting Ecamm in the middle. Right? The problem is the audio is going directly within Zoom from the speaker to the listener. But what we're doing is we're pulling the video into Ecamm and then sending that back into Zoom. So it's like this is not a nonstop flight anymore, the video, but the audio is. And so there's going to be a delay. Am I right about that, Neil?
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are using it maybe incorrectly. I think they're trying to use it as a replacement as well for interview mode. So the ease of use of bringing people in. I mean, it's not a bad thing, of course. If you want to bring your guests in, it's an easy way of doing it. But in terms of what you said about the syncing and so on, that can be off-putting, particularly for people who are still in the Zoom room.
Right. And so what I've told people, and I was just working with someone the other day on this, is that if you really want to have your teachers or speakers or influencers or whoever in Zoom, and you want to send that out to Zoom, then you really need to have 2 Zoom meetings, or a Zoom meeting and a breakout room, one of the two. So you need to have your speakers, presenters in one meeting, join that meeting with Ecamm for Zoom, grab those presenters, produce them in Ecamm, then on the same machine or a different machine, open vanilla Zoom and join your audience meeting, your class meeting, whoever's listening, and just use your virtual camera and virtual mic from Ecamm into there. So that way you'll be in 2 meetings. You'll be bringing your talent in from one via Zoom, producing it in Ecamm, and then sending both audio and video out to this other meeting. And it should be in sync there.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question on that? Have you tested where you potentially, as you mentioned, bringing in the guests, the participants, the ones who are going to be hosted on your Ecamm show, into either a breakout room, produce those, and then they're isolated from the actual Zoom meeting? Is that possible within just one instance of the Zoom meeting instead of having 2 or not?
No, because if Zoom for Ecamm would be in the breakout room, it can't broadcast back to the main room. Breakout rooms are essentially separate meetings. That's why you could do this with a breakout room, but you'd have to still have 2 clients. They're essentially,
yeah, I'm with you. Right. So. I mean, it was the same thing for interview mode though as well. It could be slightly out of sync the regular interview mode on Ecamm, the quality, the resolution was always sort of very degraded with regards to what the actual guests were seeing. And sometimes it would be out of sync. And I always used to say to people, well, don't worry about what you're seeing on Chrome. It's not necessarily representative of what's in the live meeting. But yeah, it is
Right.
worse in Zoom in terms of that audio sync, definitely.
Yeah. So in any case, that's something to. I will tell you there are three things, three things about this that I think are game changing that have nothing to do with bringing guests in, nothing at all. The first is ease of use. I don't have Zoom open right now. I don't even have to have it open. I can just join every meeting right from Ecamm for Zoom. Like that, to me, that's one less thing to worry about. The second thing is if we trust Ecamm, if we let Ecamm do the work of routing our audio and getting our video in, if we don't start futzing around with stuff, it just works. Like they just made it work. For years, we were all, mix minus and loop back and all this other garbage, and it just works. And the third thing that to me is fantastic is being able to grab comments, and you don't need to even turn on the engine to be able to do this. You can just
Yes.
bring in comments. So even if I never join a Zoom meeting now from an Ecamm, even if I'm never bringing people on, on stage or anything like that.
Same exact thing for me. And I know we also wanted to talk about how there are moments where you don't need to use this, right? This is not for everybody in every situation, but for those of us who already use Zoom, this makes it that much easier. And also people are very familiar with how to use Zoom. But if I was just going to be like Matt, for example, who's running his live stream and he's going to bring me in as a guest, we would just do that through Ecamm. I would just be his guest in Ecamm. There really is no need to use Zoom, right? If everybody is on YouTube, then just use interview mode, right? That's the way that I would do it for a live stream, for a live show. But if I'm having a class, I will use Zoom for the most part. I use a lot of other tools that in the future I have a long list of things I want to share with you all, but we only have so much time. But
It's really interesting
a-
you're saying that, Tatiana, because I'm the exact opposite. I will never use interview mode again. Never.
yeah,
Never, never,
really,
never.
why?
I
Even just to conduct an interview for your channel, you would
Nope.
prefer to do it in Zoom.
Zoom, 100% through Zoom.
Now, why would that be?
Ease of use for the participant. They can choose what they're looking at, as opposed to with right now in the web-based interface, you can't change the size of what you're seeing. It's incredibly limiting. It's a brilliant tool that they built. Don't get me wrong. It's a brilliant tool that they built, and Zoom is just rock solid for conversation, for back and forth. I mean, I'm biased, but Zoom is it's the most solid option available, and I'll never go back.
Okay. Well, the good thing is that we have options, right? And we get to choose how we approach this. And let's see. And Neil is with you. Neil's sticking with 100% with going everything through Zoom. Now, there is the other piece of this. Not everybody has a premium Zoom account also, so they would have those limitations. So that could be another reason why perhaps you don't go this route, but
That's actually a really, really important point, Tatiana.
Oh.
That your experience with Zoom and Ecamm for Zoom is in part dependent on your Zoom account. You're absolutely right.
So if I use Ecamm for Zoom, I'm limited to the 40 minutes because I'm not paying for Zoom.
Correct. So you basically log in to Zoom through Ecamm. And when you log in, it'll know what kind of account you have. Yeah, that's a really good point, Tatiana.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, what was the other thing that I wanted to mention? Oh, I just realized something because I'm on my a profile for one thing, and I wanted to switch profiles right now, and I cannot. I just realized that I cannot switch profiles.
In Ecamm.
So in Ecamm, correct?
Yeah, you can't when you're live. Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
not know this because I am able to switch profiles. I was able to switch profiles before. I have switched
when you're not
profiles
live.
when we're not live. So
It
just
may be because I wonder if it's because I'm capturing your camera, so it looks like you're live streaming. I'm not sure.
that's what I was wondering too. If I stop my video feed in Zoom, if I can switch my
I
profile,
don't know.
because what I want.
I actually, when I first started playing with Ecamm, it's so funny you mentioned that. I discovered that, and I've never used profiles since then. I have everything in one profile. I'm a very organized guy. Like it's all,
Yeah.
but I want access to everything. I don't, and yeah.
Are you recording this through Ecamm, Tatiana? Or is this going live on
No,
Ecamm?
we're recording through Zoom. So we're recording through Zoom. It says live streaming for two reasons. One, because I built the scene and I grabbed Tatiana. And second, because I'm also using a tool called Tiles, which is on another machine, which also uses the same live streaming protocol, which allows me to create galleries and things like
But
this.
if Tatiana's Ecamm isn't streaming and isn't recording, she should be able to flip profiles, I would think.
No, because as far as Ecamm is concerned, you've joined the Zoom meeting via Ecamm for Zoom, so effectively that profile is locked down now.
So it's quote unquote active.
Yeah, it's active. Yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right.
So I'm going to just test stopping my video to see if that allows me to change, but I have a feeling the answer is no, but let's
No,
see.
I don't think it will.
Nah,
I'd bet dollars to donuts it doesn't.
not gonna happen.
No.
So are there
At the
Nope.
farm.
Didn't
are there
happen.
any
Didn't
Didn't
happen.
so-
There you go.
So what are the advantages or disadvantages of either recording in Zoom or in Ecamm? I guess I'm kind of partial to keeping everything in house in Ecamm, but because I know you could do the ISO recordings, etc. But what are some advantages or disadvantages of going either Zoom recording or Ecamm? Because I'm afraid if I go live and I forget to do my Ecamm recording and just do Zoom, I won't get that.
So Ecamm's only going to, each of these tools will only record what you're giving it. So right now, for example, right, you're looking at my Ecamm screen. If I were recording this, the only thing it's going to be recording is my fat, ugly face, right? Because that's the only thing that I'm sending into Ecamm. In the Zoom recording, I can get the gallery, I could get active speaker, I could get shared screen, I can get all those things. You can build scenes that bring all of that into Ecamm. It's a bit tedious. You have to use you would have to use Zoom for Ecamm, and you have to use either Tiles or you'd have to screen scraper. There are ways to bring your gallery in, but for easy recording, Zoom is still the way to go certainly for if you want the whole meeting experience, if you want the gallery and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Thanks.
I guess
By the
it
way,
depends on
Ed,
your use case, right? Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to say, it just depends on your use case, because if you are just bringing in guests into your Ecamm production and you would just be pushing this out onto YouTube or whatever, then Ecamm would be the way to go. It would record it anyway as it's going live, and then you can do isolated video of those Zoom participants that are coming in as your guests. But as David mentioned, it depends what you want. If you want the whole thing, then you have to record that in Zoom, or you could do both.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I was thinking about class, but you're absolutely right. And by the way, Ed is asking about if you have all your work in one profile, does it get really large and hinder performance? Marty, what's your experience about? Can you share that?
Well, because am I on? Yeah, because I do sessions for kindergarten all the way up to grade 12. The original way that I used Ecamm was I pumped in everything I needed for K, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, and it went up to about 2,000 scenes and assets of overlays and video. And that's when things started to bog down. Like it was like you press the Stream Deck button and like 2.5 seconds later, you would fire the scene that you needed, right? It would just slowly make its way into rotation. And so when I start to split everything up into different grade levels or divisions, then everything moved a lot faster. So I mean, I don't think anybody's going to get to that point of 2,000 scenes, but if you think like you're getting up there, that's when I'd recommend splitting it out. It just makes your life a lot easier. I mean, it makes it harder when you have to change things, but it makes it easier when you're executing your show.
Yeah, I had a 1 terabyte profile and it was difficult.
1 terabyte profile?
I think
How is that even possible?
Or
I had no
maybe
idea how big my
maybe it
profiles
was
were.
several hundred gigabytes. I don't
No,
know.
I believe you. I'm just
It was half of Fulgens. Whatever Fulgens declared, mine was half of his. I was like, I got some work to do. I gotta get to gig 4.
so my main profile is almost 1.5 gigs, 1.35 gigs. That's not too bad, is it?
No, that's not too bad. It depends if you got lots of overlays and music and all kinds of things. It can start to get bloated. I
Right.
think
I had a
mine
lot of
biggest I've seen is about 1.5 on my side, but
I
I
had a
have
lot of
multiple
videos with
profiles. So.
transparent backgrounds, and I think that was
So Ed, the way I checked my, what were you saying about transparent backgrounds?
I had a lot
Those?
of videos with transparent backgrounds in my
Oh,
profile.
videos with transparent
Yeah.
back. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I went, Ed was asking how I checked the size. So I just went into where I know my profiles live, because I'm a bit neurotic about backing up my profiles. So iCloud Drive, Ecamm Live, profiles, and then I only have 3. One is for my home computer, one is for here, and you can get the cost right there.
My largest one, it's same for me. I just look it up in the Finder window where my Ecamm profiles live, and I also back them up. And this way I can also share them across my laptop,
Yeah.
wherever if I need to grab one, I can do that. And in an ideal world, here's what I would suggest. You build your template of the basics, the you alone scene. If you want a particular graphic or a particular lower third, you build your basics, and then that gets copied into different profiles. So the way that I use profiles is for different classes, or one for Ecamm for educators, one for Ecamm in Spanish, because Ana Gil and I started Ecamm in Spanish. We're going to be co-hosting, rotating with a couple other
Which,
people within
by
the
the
Ecamm
way,
community.
I don't speak a word of Spanish, but that was so awesome.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
so fantastic.
Thanks, David. It was a way to challenge my brain so much, because even though I am bilingual, it's not the same. I mean, I don't speak technology in Spanish. I only speak technology in English. So having to learn, and then weird things like I'm looking up, how do you say streaming in Spanish? And apparently it's streaming. So it's a matter of just saying it with a Spanish accent, which doesn't come naturally to my mouth. I'm used to saying streaming, not streaming. So little things, but it was such a huge challenge for the brain that I really enjoyed it. But with the profiles, I'm divvying up by class. So for my social media class, I've got this profile, because there's going to be different graphics and different things related to that, even though some things will be the same. Or for my public speaking class, it's a different thing. Or for the Adjunct Professor Academy, it will be different. So I think of them like that. And my largest one is about 1.4 gigs. Matt, where are the Ecamm profiles located?
I
can tell you that. Sorry.
Go ahead, Neil.
There's a special folder in your library. I'll just post the link to it there. I will warn you that that is the list of all your profiles. Everything that you see in your profiles list in Ecamm is in there. So if you wanted to just nuke it, because obviously even if you do upgrade Ecamm, it'll keep that reference point. So, well, I did the same thing. I had too many in my list because I was doing testing and things. So I exported all my profiles to a drive, and then crossed my fingers and deleted everything in that folder, and then brought all the profiles back, and that was nice and clean. So then I only had 4 when I go to my Ecamm profiles list at the top. But that's where they're stored. So just use that folder with caution, because if you do delete everything, that's it. You're not going to get them back.
got it.
I put mine in a different folder, so I just have inside of where I back up everything, which is Dropbox. I have a folder called Ecamm, and within Ecamm, there's one called Ecamm Profiles, and then all my profiles are there, and then that gets backed up on the cloud, and I can access wherever I need.
They don't have friendly names, by the way, just to let you know. They won't say Tatiana's show or Neil's show or anything like that in that list. They've got a specific unique ID. So if you want to actually know what they are, you'd have to go into the XML and actually the name is in there.
But those are the ones that Ecamm uses when it's opening. When you just open Ecamm, that's what is
right.
But
that's right. But that's where all the references are. All the XML is in there. So when you go to that profile list, and you can go into Ecamm and you've got this, you click on profile and you've got all the profiles in recent and then all. That's what it's using as the reference to show all that within that profiles list. So I just removed them from there.
Right,
Just
but
to clean them out.
but
The
that's
actual
interesting.
profiles.
So
You mean the physical profiles of the files, you mean?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I've actually never, because I don't use profiles, I've never looked there. But so I export it. I don't export it there. I export it to a completely different place because I fundamentally just use it as a backup. I never open, like Ecamm saves whatever changes I do in the place that you just directed us to. When I export current profile, I'm just creating another copy, a backup of that,
Yeah.
and that I can put
I
anywhere.
do the same
wherever you
thing.
want.
Yeah, I do the same thing. So I export mine to a separate drive, but the reference that Ecamm uses in your profiles list is always in that Ecamm
Oh,
Live
okay.
Shows
I
folder.
understand.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the export's just a file away in case you need to import
Yeah.
it somewhere.
That's right. That's always good practice to do that
Interesting.
if you make changes anyway, because you never know.
Yeah, I was worried when it took 7 minutes to export, and it just gave like the
Ooh.
rotating pinwheel. I was like,
Oh boy.
like there's no progress bar. I'm like, well, I guess I'm just gonna wait. And I'm not a patient person. It did eventually finish, and I was like, oh my, that's a big profile.
Well, I want to mention from Discord too how Marty was looking for a resource, something, a PDF and a video that instructs people on how to simply. You want to talk about this, Marty? Because what we said is we'd be happy to make one together. So, do you want to chime in?
Yeah. So what I'm finding now is as more people are sort of going back to in-person learning, all the skill sets they had when they were using Zoom or Google Meet or MS Teams has fallen by the wayside, right? They've got foggy memories about, oh, which button do I press to get my speaker working when I, shifted over from one device to another, and now I can't hear the presenter. And I'm finding that more and more within the last probably 3 or 4 months, especially when I'm broadcasting to a school. Oftentimes it's a teacher who goes, I can't remember how to do this, or it's a supply teacher who comes in, or a substitute teacher comes in and has had very little dealings with Google Meet or Zoom, and so they're completely lost. And they're trying to connect in the moment. Of course, nobody wants to do that under pressure of going, okay, this thing is live, and now I got to figure out how to make the speaker work. So I was hoping that there would be some kind of tutorial, like a short PDF or a video that's connected to Zoom, one that's connected to Google Meet, and one to MS Teams, that your audience or your students can go, okay, I haven't used this platform in a while. I can go to this and go, okay, I can troubleshoot everything so that when I log on, then everything's working. We don't have to spend the first 10 minutes going, have you tried pressing the button at the bottom of the left-hand screen to do this? And then you realize they can't hear you. So then you go to type in the instructions on chat. So that's what I'm hoping for, is some kind of resource for the audience or for the students to use.
Yeah. So since we don't really, at least that was my first thought too. Is like I don't know one off the top of my head, but more than happy to help you make one. So if you want to let us know when is a good time, and then whoever can join you to do that would, I'd be happy. I can't speak for everybody, but I know David already volunteered, so David and myself would certainly be happy to help with that. Cool.
Great. Thank you.
I love it. I love it, Marty. You win graphic of the day. Very nice job. So
Wait, I missed it. Do the graphic again.
all right, Marty, one more time.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. That's a good one.
That is so cute. And then before we started the meeting, some people were having some audio trouble. So I was saying to Darren, I have been meaning to do this for forever. Little floating animations that come up that say, I can't hear you, or you're on mute, or we can hear you, but you can't hear us. Like all of the typical common things that just float up. Because what if I talk and the person can't hear me, we're getting nowhere. And then by the time I realized I should put it in the chat, 5 minutes have passed. So I wanted to have little floating animation messages come up. So that's another idea. Yes, Ed, something along those lines. Absolutely. Like big messages popping up on the screen, but I want like a little person holding a sign saying something cute. David, would you please talk to us a little bit more about what you mentioned last month about what is the program called again? It's something for Zoom and is Zoom ISO? Is it Zoom ISO?
Zoom OSC. So
OSC.
if anyone is interested more in this, I actually just taught a class on this earlier today in Zoom events. But let me, I didn't even think about sharing that with you. That was kind of dumb. So wait, lost my mouse. Where's my mouse? There it is. Okay. So there is a organization called Liminal ET, which was acquired by Zoom a couple years ago. So they now work at Zoom and they are part of Zoom. But they built these alternative Zoom clients. So they built Zoom OSC was their first one, Zoom ISO, Tiles, Zoom Cuts, and I use all of them because they're amazing. So Zoom ISO, you may have heard of. Zoom ISO is basically what Ecamm for Zoom is using. That's essentially, Ecamm for Zoom does the same thing that Zoom ISO does. And they built Zoom ISO so that tools like vMix and Mimo Live and Ecamm Live could incorporate this into their apps. Zoom OSC is actually also available to Ecamm for Live, but the twins just haven't integrated it yet.
David, before you continue, I just want to make sure I understand that Zoom ISO is the same in the sense that it records isolated tracks of all of our Zoom participants or guest interviews, however we set it up, as long as our computer has the space for it. Zoom, it sounds like it's pronounced Zoom ISO. And coming from the photography and video world, we always would say ISO, but that means something different. But in this case, we're talking about it creates ISO standing for isolated tracks.
Exactly.
So this meaning we could set it up so that not only are we creating a broadcast of the entire thing, like whatever is being streamed right now on YouTube, but it will also make a separate one of my own camera and every single person's camera here, including audio. So that if I wanted to repurpose the content where, Neil was sharing a tip, I'm going to just go grab his piece, and it doesn't have that Zoom back and forth thing that can happen where somebody got cut off or I laughed when Matt made a joke, and so it's my face that shows up rather than his. It's basically giving you all different files of each individual person. So Ecamm has that now.
Yes, and it doesn't give you individual files for everyone. You have to select the people that you want, just like we do in Ecamm. We pull the cameras in. It's
not
really
by
more
default.
correct.
Right? It won't do it by
correct.
default. You choose what you want.
It's really more
isolated
about
tracks for.
it's really more. It's there's certainly isolated video recording and audio recording for post production, but I think the larger use case was doing exactly what Ecamm is doing now, which is allowing us to bring guests in or talent in through Zoom into our productions. That's really so. Before Ecamm for Zoom, I would have Ecamm open, I'd have Zoom ISO open, and I would feed the individual feeds from Zoom ISO over NDI into Ecamm. And that's how I would build my shows. And now we don't have to do any of that. But so this is where the technology came from. And if any of you watch the launches, Andy Carluccio, who has been on some of the launches, this is him. Liminal is him, along with a team, obviously, who now all work at Zoom. Zoom OSC is OSC it basically listens. It joins the meeting and it listens and it collects data, and then it can take actions based on that data. So by way of example, this is Zoom OSC right here. You can see it looks just like a regular Zoom meeting. It's just a Zoom client, and I just join this meeting or any meeting from Zoom OSC from this client. So now I've got Zoom OSC in this meeting. It's called TTG Productions, I think. So that's just sitting there. I don't connect to audio. I don't connect to video. It's just sitting in the meeting listening. Then I use something called Companion to help me take actions on that. And in fact, what I just did when I just spotlight myself, that was a good example of me taking actions on it. So for example, the first thing that it does, which is kind of magical in and of itself, is this is the layout for a Stream Deck. Stream Deck has its own software. We all use it for Ecamm. Companion is free software. It's alternative software for Stream Deck. So you use this. You can't use it really you can use it in conjunction with the native Stream Deck software, but it's a little complicated. So I just actually have this on a separate machine. This Stream Deck is plugged into a separate, just my Zoom OSC machine, and it just lives there. But you can see the first thing it does is it puts on my buttons the names of everybody who's in this meeting in gallery order. So David, that's me. TTT Productions, that's my whatever, the other thing. Darren is next, Tatiana. And on top of that, it also gives me information about those people. So I can see that Tatiana, her mic is live, her camera is live, but her hand is not up. If she were to raise her, actually don't do it yet, because this is cool. But in a moment, I'll have her raise her hand and a whole bunch of stuff will happen. So what I can do then is if I want to spotlight someone, I can select them. And all I did is press their name on the button. And then for me, in the way I built this, I just created this. I use stage full, because I want them to take over the full stage. I select the person and I press full, and then they are automatically spotlit. I don't have to go into their, to their, what do you call it? The
Right click on their
participant,
camera.
right click, the three dots, any of that. I literally just choose the person and do that. And I can toggle their mute. I can put them in groups. So if I go over to our host, there's a host page here. Automatically, anybody who is a host or co-host is put in this group. So I can just go to this page if I want and see who my hosts are. I have a spotlight page, which will automatically put whoever's spotlight here. If I were to go back and spotlight Ed along with me, you'll see that he shows up right here on my page, and now I can take actions on him. Let's see. So that's kind of on a basic level, right? I have feedback right here on my Stream Deck of who's in my meetings. I can visualize it different ways based on their gallery order, based on when they came into the meeting, all things like that. And then I can also take lots of different actions on them. I can have them spotlight. I can add them to a spotlight. I can remove them from a spotlight. So if you want to do multi-spotlight, you can do that. If they have their hand up and they forgot to lower it, you can lower their hand. You can clear the stage. So oftentimes I'll be teaching or something. I'll do my little shtick. I will have clicked this button right here, is because most of what I do actually is I'm the one that needs to be spotlit, whether I'm the one talking or whether I'm producing it and the feed is coming from my Ecamm for Zoom. So I made a button that just, no matter what, it spotlights me. Like, I don't have to press anything. I don't have to select myself. I just press that one button, it spotlights me. But if I want to do that and then I want to open it up for questions, I can just click the stage clear, and now we're right back into gallery view or speaker view, whoever is doing it.
So this is taking place on your Stream Deck, and you have this web display of it too?
Yeah, I'm just showing it to you on the web, but I'm pressing the buttons on the Stream Deck.
Yeah, cool.
But the real power is in two different things. So I'm going to invite you to watch my screen. But Tatiana, will you raise your hand? Because a whole bunch of stuff's about to happen. Okay. So I don't know if you noticed it, but right over here, Tatiana jumped into position 1. And that's what happens with Zoom, right? When you raise your hand, you move into gallery position 1 in Zoom. Wait a second, something just jumped up over here. There we go. So she did what is expected behavior, but that is reflected on my Stream Deck now. So I see that she is now in position 1. Second thing that happened is it shows me that her hand is raised. The third thing that happened is that she's selected. See how everyone else is, well, I'm red because I'm talking and noisy and spotlit, but see how everyone else is black? So she turns gray when she's selected. I can unselect her and she'll turn black, and I can select her again. So those 3 things happen. She's moved to position 1, her hand, it shows me her hand is raised, and she turned gray. And I'd be willing to bet that if I were to ask her right now, she would say that she got a chat message.
I did.
Yeah. What
Yep,
did your
from
chat message
TTG
say?
Productions saying, "You're up next. Be ready to unmute your microphone when prompted."
So that all happens with me, with me doing nothing. Literally, she raised her hand and all those things happen. And the next thing that happens is all I have to do now, because she's already selected, is press full. And as soon as I do that, a whole bunch of other stuff is going to happen. So I'll show you. Boom, everything's done. Everything happened. So let me go back in and show you what happened here.
Her hand
So
went down.
her hand went down. That's one thing, right? So the first thing that's going on here is I have a trigger set up. So the trigger I called on deck. And what that means is that, well, let's jump in. So on a condition becoming true, I want something to happen. So when the person in gallery position 1 has their hand raised, and this is kind of circular logic because when you raise your hand, you by default go to position 1. So it works, but it's a little crazy. When the person in position 1 has their hand raised, I want a few things to happen. Number 1, I want to select that person. Number 2, I want you to send a message to that person via chat. You're up next. Be ready to unmute your microphone when prompted. Okay, so those 2 things happen. Then when I clicked on full, let me get to where I can show you that. When I clicked on full, a whole bunch of other stuff, all this stuff happened. So first of all, they were spotlit. Second of all, they were unmuted automatically. The reason I have that chat saying, be ready to unmute is because if they don't give you permission to unmute them, then they'll just get a pop-up. So just to double check, but this should unmute most people. It lowers their hand. It clears the selection so that if I choose to press another button to take action something else, I'm not doing it on them. And it sets gallery view. And what that means is in order for this stuff to all work, Zoom OSC has to be in gallery view, not speaker view. In the newest build, you don't need this step. It's automatic, but I'm afraid to touch anything because it works so well. So I just leave it there. So all those things happened and I literally pressed one button and like 12 actions happened. So, if I'm doing a class and someone has a question, they would raise their hand. I would press full. All those things would happen, bada bing, bada boom. And as soon as I clear them from stage, actually, let me, Tatiana, if you don't mind, I'm going to put you back on stage. So you should be unmuted now because I also have built into that the button to unmute them. But as soon as I clear her from stage, I think, unless, well, you're a co-host, this may not work. You should be muted. Let's see what happens.
I'm not muted.
You're not muted. All right, wait. I want to try one more thing. Hold on. Where are you? Where'd you go? Tatiana, I'm going to put you back on stage, and then I'm going to take you. Oh, maybe this is what I have to do. Now you're muted. Right. So when I took her off stage, I clicked the stage off button. That automatically mutes her. So if someone's taking up too much time or you just kind of want them to be quiet, you can take them off stage.
How about if multiple people raise their hands at once? That often happens where several students are like chime in.
Sure. So let's do that. A few people, if you want to raise your hands. So we've got Tatiana raise her hand, Marty raise his hand, Sunny, Neil, great, awesome. So this is expected Zoom behavior, right? They will line up in your gallery view in these positions. And so as soon as I put Tatiana on stage, or actually what I'll do now is I'll just lower her hand, right? And I can do that just by pressing this button. As soon as I lower her hand, you'll see Marty and everyone else will move over. So now Marty is in position 1, pre-selected, ready to go.
Pretty
so
cool.
As soon as I take, I will never join a Zoom meeting anymore without, when I need to. I use it primarily for spotlighting. That's really what I use it for, because spotlighting is so important for resolution, to have good resolution. If you've got a bunch of people just looking, even now, this is really small text, but if you look at my image now versus when I spotlight myself, it's going to be clearer when I'm spotlit because I'm sending a full screen video image rather than just a little doohickey.
And I've also found it very cumbersome in Zoom when my students are doing group presentations. I go and I spotlight everybody one by one, and then I have to remove spotlight one by one. Although I think now there might be a remove all spotlight most recently, then I've got to do it for the next group of students. And I do find that to be a pain as I find students, and I just wish that there was where I could multi-select, and then spotlight these people within Zoom.
So yeah, so one of the things this has is this multi-select toggle here. So sometimes it's important that I only select, oh, sorry, I'm not showing this to you. Sometimes it's really important that I'm only selecting one person. And so I generally keep this on single select, but this is just a button I'm pressing that'll toggle between the two. So when I have it on multi-select, I could, if I wanted to, take these 3 people and click the add button, and now we're going to have a 4-up spotlight because I was already spotlight. And then if I want to clear them, I just press clear, and we're back to normal. So if you're a Stream Deck geek like I am, and if so much of what you do is managing your participants in Zoom, and for me, it's really, it's about, I want this technology to get out of the way. I really, like, that's so important to me. It drives me berserk when people say, okay, I'm going to screen share now. Like, don't announce that you're going to screen share, just teach or inspire. Like, I don't need a play-by-play of how you're doing what you're doing. And when you're going to spotlight someone, because it takes a while to find the person, find the dots, click that. You say, okay, let me see. No, I press the button, done. And it allows me to focus on the teaching.
Mm-hmm. And then hopefully everybody can stick around for a few more minutes, because you've got that other one, the tiles one, that also looks very cool.
Yeah, I'm happy to show those. So Marty's asking, is Companion specific to Zoom, or is it like Keyboard Maestro on an all-purpose app? It's not at all specific to Zoom. It's used for like everything. So if you go into, so you download Companion from Bitfocus. I think it's .io. It's free. It's an open source app. Bitfocus.io. There are all these modules. These are all different apps and tools and hardware that it works with, and it just works with everything. Zoom, you can see down here, it's just one, of all of these different things. This is the only thing that I use it for is Zoom. Thank you, Tatiana. Yeah, bitfocus.io. Now wait, I'm gonna let you in a little secret. So if there are 2 versions of Zoom OSC, there's Essentials. So the free download from Companion, that's easy. That's no big deal. For Zoom OSC, because these work hand in hand, if you get it from the website, there's an Essentials version, which is free. Don't bother, because it doesn't have multi-spotlight and stuff like that. And then there's the Pro version. If you buy it from the website, you're going to pay like $20 a month. Don't do that, because I don't know if you saw, but up at the top here, liminal apps are now included in the Zoom Events platform. So if you have any Zoom Events account, any at all, you get all of these apps for free. Now, you're going to say, oh, Zoom Events, it's really expensive. Yeah, it is. Unless you know how to hack the system a little bit. Let me show you real quick. This is worth everything right here. How the heck do I do this? I want to go to, I just want to go to where you buy stuff. All right, here we go. Pricing, here we go. Events and webinars. Okay, now you first look at this. So here's the pricing for events and webinars, right? You first look at this, and you're like, oh my God, Zoom Events, $1,400, $1,500 a year? Are you kidding me? No. Look up here. Switch from subscription to pay per attendee. Oh, that looks a little better now, doesn't it? Now, you can get Zoom Events if you want for $125 a year, or Zoom sessions for $100 a year. Now, what I did is that I changed it to I'm paying per attendee. So what that means is that I get far fewer attendees if I'm running a Zoom session or a Zoom event. But between you and me, I'm never running a Zoom session or Zoom event. I'm just running a meeting. So I don't need any of this. All I need is the little presents that come along with it, all this stuff. So what you do is you just buy, you buy the lowest level, $100 for the entire year Zoom sessions license. You associate it with your email, with your in your account. You create a hub. This all sounds complex. It's not. And then you immediately have access to all of these tools, which is just so much fun.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
I love not wasting money.
I do too. Feel free to reach out to me if you guys actually want to go through that. I'm happy to walk you through that. But
David,
right.
could I just ask a very quick question? What's the difference between sessions and events for the Liminal system? You can
Zero.
use either?
For Liminal, zero. For Liminal, there's zero difference. Sessions is cheaper, $25.
Great.
Sessions is basically the light version of Zoom events. But again, because I'm buying a Zoom events license, but I'm not using that license. I'm just buying it to have access to this other stuff. It doesn't affect how many people I can have in my meeting. It doesn't affect where it doesn't affect anything. So.
And then the Zoom tiles, you can configure lots of different ways to show the gallery. Is that what that does?
Oh goodness! Wait a second. My NDI died. Hold on. Let me charge up my NDI so I can show you this real quick. Capture.
In the meantime, Matt said he has an off-topic,
Yeah.
short, fun thing to share. So Matt, you're on.
About 3 hours ago, 2 grade school aged girls knocked on my door and asked if I wanted to buy any custom bracelets. Of course I said yes, and they just delivered them.
Is that a
Aw.
little watermelon?
Yes. And I have one with a little apple on it. I don't know if you can
Oh,
tell.
that's cute.
Oh my
Yeah, you
God,
can
those are
see it.
adorable.
How can you not say yes to something like that? Purple.
That
Anyway.
is very cute. That's super cute.
That doesn't happen every day. So. Thank you for letting me share that.
Love it.
Of course. Your channel is awesome fun things. So there you go.
I think that's the topic for tomorrow.
So let me show you what's going on here. Okay, so this is another, like Zoom OSC, this is another Zoom app. It's another client. So you download tiles, and I have this on a separate computer. You don't want to really run all this stuff together. This is, by the way, incredibly early in beta, like stupid early in beta. So everything does not work. But you join a meeting. So I joined this meeting from that client. And then I have a few different toggles up here. So this is, my meeting, if I can join and stuff like that. I have an editor, so I can come over here and I can say, okay, how big do I want the margins? How many maximum participants? I can change it, 1, 3, 6, 9, 16. I just keep it at 16. You can change the coloring. So I used my brand colors, not the gold, those are the borders, but this blue and then the kind of lime ugly green thing behind. You can have shadows, all that other stuff. You can have animations, how the tiles move in, things like that. And then you go to outputs and you actually get to see kind of what's going on here. I have your names on here, but they don't actually show up in the real thing. And then you essentially send this out to, right now, you can only send it out to a display. So you send it out to a separate display, and then what I'm doing is I'm just bringing that display in to Ecamm as a camera source, basically. So I can, exclude people. I can make sure that people are always here. So basically, what I did then is I just built a couple of scenes. So for example, I've got this, me with my gallery next to me. If I wanted to do something with the gallery kind of around me, you know, I could do something like this. You can't yet really design where the tiles go. They're still in a grid form. That's coming, but they're still in a grid form, but you can, you know, make the edges round, you can change the color, stuff like that. If I had maybe me and my guest, and I wanted to have, you know, our people around us. So in any case, this is what tiles is. It's very easy to get lost in here and have a ton of fun. But
I can see that.
and some of this, by the way, the guys Ken and Glenn are also working on how to get gallery views into Ecamm.
Yeah.
So the whole
is-
the whole idea of these apps is not to be standalone app. Like the whole idea is for us not to have to download tiles. It's for them to show proof of concept and then for everyone else to build it into using the SDK.
Totally. Yeah, my biggest wish is that these things get built into Ecamm
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Neil, did
Neil.
you want to jump in?
Just a quick question. So and thank you, you've answered one of my questions already about potentially looking at getting this integrated into Ecamm, which would be fantastic. You mentioned that when you first started this, you had a grid of 16 or whatever people. So this is dynamically allocating however many people are coming into Zoom. It'll dynamically allocate them if they're all on video. For participants that aren't on video, obviously it's not going to show them. So only people that have got the video switched on. If you've got 16 in your total and only 4 people show up, there's going to be 4 people in the grid. And then as more people pop in, it'll dynamically allocate, which I think is fantastic because that saves us building separate scenes. And as you know, I've got multiple scenes on my profile for 2 guests, 3 guests, 4 guests, and bring them in via Zoom. But this would be great if we could get this into Ecamm, because then all that, as you said, heavy lifting and headache of building stuff, let's just get presenting and doing the thing and not building this if possible.
Yes, but I mean, I don't think that this is a replacement for building scenes with talent or speakers or teachers.
No.
Yeah. You can, so right now, you can see over here, exclude from gallery output. So you can exclude hosts and co-hosts.
Right.
You can have in non-video participants. I could turn it on if I wanted.
Cool.
You can hide yourself. I always keep myself hidden. One of the cool things though is that if you have, let me change this actually so check this out. This is really pretty cool. I'm gonna change the max participants to less than 9. Oh, I went too far, sorry. I'll go to 5. Okay, so I've got 5 participants. So now I've got 5 participants in here, but you can also see that I've got a queue down here of other gallery people who are not on screen. And I have a timer set at 7 seconds. So they are going to automatically rotate through. So now I went ahead and I started that timer, and then when that timer hits 0, someone else is going to take that spot with a cute little animation.
What a great idea.
Right? So
Nice.
you're going to get
random,
your...
Right?
Say again?
Yeah. It's random, sorry. So I can see Tatiana's.
Exactly.
And then so on. That's cool.
Well, it's random, except I could go in and say, you know what, I want Darren to stay here, so I'm going to star him. And now Darren won't move. So this is a great way to, you know, get kind of your other guests, not guests, sorry, your Zoom participants up there. This is really meant, I think, for if you're doing, let's say you're teaching giving a lecture maybe in a hall, and you've got some people on Zoom. It's a hybrid thing. Some people on Zoom, you could fire this up and put your Zoom folks on the screen in the room so that they can genuinely be in the room with you in a really nice way.
And I will add that in my virtual live classes, I did the very simple thing of bringing my students on the stage. So it was myself, and then I was able to bring in 4 other guests, which, you know, I'm sure this is part of the Zoom for integration, the Ecamm and Zoom integration things that you guys have seen. So I'm going to, for example,
It,
I was able to bring
it's funny
in,
how I saw you, the way you were looking and working, I knew that you were requesting to live stream. So I was like, I was over here ready to click the okay. It's
you're
funny how
you're
we,
you're
us
so
Ecamm
familiar, you're
folks.
familiar with the movement, right? You
You're
know
right.
exactly where
No,
I'm
we all kind of,
looking.
right. We know how to read each other.
So I did this with my students, and I wish I could switch profiles. That's why I wanted to switch profiles there, so I can show you their faces. They were like, and the crazy thing to me is that it's the same camera feed that they're seeing if they look at themselves in Zoom, everything, but just bringing them up on the stage had a really fantastic impact that was different. And I do want to say that that does help with engagement. It helps bring them closer together. And this right here is something, this is Philippe Nardi. He's an OBS guy. So he doesn't use Zoom, he uses OBS. But I see him do his trainings and shows using things like this. And I have requested things like this for Ecamm. If we would, you know, if there's a way, I would love to be able to do something like this using the Ecamm and Zoom integration functionality
So
to have things like
this
that.
is exactly what Tiles is going to let
Tiles
us
is.
do.
Okay.
And eventually what will be built into Ecamm. This is again, what the only difference between what he's, first of all, he's brilliant. That's the first thing we should all say, because he was the first to really do this. But
He's a software developer, right?
yeah,
Originally, that was his
yeah, I believe so.
original.
What the only thing that he can do that Tiles can't do as of right now is he can define, I only want, boxes in these spaces, I believe. Whereas
Right,
we
because you
can't
can
do
see
that
his
yet.
inside the show
Exactly.
logos scattered throughout. So there's
That's
a lot
also
of
cool, right?
customization.
Right. So what he does is if there's a blank space, rather than right now Tiles kind of shrinks down, he has, if there's a blank space, he puts his logo there, which is brilliant.
Because I can imagine running a class like this where I've got these little cue tiles, say there's a question or a prompt or a theme, and then we're just going around like a little game board doing this thing and then this thing. So I hope that this comes up because I can see such a great use for this in an interactive way with classes. But I've got my fingers crossed because I'm definitely not gonna start to use OBS, even though there's nothing wrong with it. I started with OBS. It's just, now I made a commitment to work with Ecamm, and I'd rather stick with that. So that's pretty neat. That's cool. Thank you for showing us, David.
Yeah,
That's
of course.
pretty awesome.
Of course.
And I wanted to ask everybody, how much have you had a chance to play around with the Zoom integration feature yourselves? I mean, we talked last month, if you were here, that we would try to do some things on our own and see what we learned. Have you guys had a chance to do that? Is there any feedback or input or things you want to say about that? Sunny?
Yes, I had the opportunity to play with it last Monday and this past Monday. And I was in a Toastmasters meeting. So I took my profile and brought it in via Zoom. And I was able to do a cool presentation. And then last night, I actually brought I was called chat monitor for the meeting. So you have to look for encouraging, helpful, or something teaching. So when I started pulling up those names on screen, they were like, whoa, nice. And so I thought that was neat. I didn't know if I could do it. I wish I could have known that I can do it. It's the broadcast part that you're able to bring the chat in. And I thought it was the chat feature itself. At least that's how I discovered it yesterday. Somebody else might be able to tell me different. But when I saw broadcast, that's how I dragged them on I dragged them on that way. But it comes from
Yes.
broadcast, right? And
So
not chat.
You're opening up the comments and reactions floating panel within Ecamm. And then all of any comments that come into chat will show up there.
Okay, for some reason, mine showed up in broadcast.
I'll turn on.
What do you mean by showed up in broadcast? What is broadcast?
It was this side panel, not the chat, but it said ready to bring into, does it say?
You mean add to broadcast?
Add to broadcast. So that's where I got mine from.
That's the comments panel that Tatiana was just referring to. That's where, if you're going to YouTube, that's where your comments from YouTube will show up also. Now, Zoom chat just comes in here also. Sorry, Tatiana, go ahead.
Yep.
Okay.
Just want to show you guys here in Ecamm demo mode. It's this panel. I'll just put it above my face. You can really see it. And it's comments and reactions. So this is where everything that's been put into Ecamm for Zoom comes on. And then of course you can customize it with colors and size and fonts and anything you like, but you just click on them and it goes from one to the other to the other. Now, if I wanted to add a multiple, all I do is drag them. So you see
Oh, I
how I
didn't know
can,
that. Wow.
so if you want to, and then you can move them. I like Anna and Folges do this a lot at the end of the show, and I really like it to be able to see people's comments in different places, you know, stacked on like this. So that's all going to live in this comments and reactions window within Ecamm. And then you just click, and then you could also, once you add something, it also gives you the option to remove it, unless you've done what I've done, which is drag it, and then if you wanted to remove them, it's kind of individual, or you just go to a different scene.
There is a little bug, by the way, in, I'm not sure if it's a bug or it's just not turned on yet or enabled yet, that I had so my usual chat, I just have it at the bottom like this, but I was watching a whole bunch of people kind of create these really cool, chat scenes where the chat kind of comes in from, you know, larger, so like that. The problem is that the text here needs to be much larger in order
Right.
for this to work. But right now, you cannot have different formatted text in different scenes for chat.
Oh, it's all or nothing. Whatever you have
It's
set it for,
it's
that's what it's going to
universal,
be.
right? And so that
Oh,
they're working on that, but that was kind of a bummer because I was excited about having here. I'd have white large text, and then when I just wanted to do something a little more basic, I'd come back here and so
I
something they're
love
working on
that.
though.
I love that, Ed. I just saw you popping up, Dr. Sunny, because Ed joined from. Then this is another thing I want to show you guys. So, Ed, go ahead. Can you do that again, please? Ed joined Ed joined Zoom through the Ecamm for Zoom integration. At some point, I'm gonna find a way to say that in a shorter way. So he can access all the comments from the chat, right? He's not the host or the co-host, but because he's using Ecamm for Zoom, he's also getting the comments and reactions floating window panel, which allows him to do that. So all of us, if we're all in Ecamm for Zoom, we can all do all these things because we're joining through Ecamm for Zoom. So it's a pretty cool thing to know we can all kind of play around with all of the features within the meeting. Obviously.
Tatiana,
Hmm.
um, if you do a side panel, if your profile has a side panel that you want all your comments to show, how would you orchestrate that? Would you bring the chat for the where it says add to broadcast over to that side? So if you had another side to your pitch, your profile right now.
Yes. So if, for example, if I had, let me see, where's one with me? So for example, if I did something like
Yes.
this, all right, so it's half of me, and then I've allowed a lot of room here for comments to come in. Okay, so so you can put just one comment here, and you're saying if you had multiple?
Well, no, actually, you know how Adrian Salisbury does it, and you see
Oh,
all of them, and he
yes.
just scrolls.
Yeah.
So
So what he does is he's actually sharing this actual comments and reactions window
Right.
as an overlay inside of here. So let's see.
So I have it
David,
here.
you go ahead.
Yeah,
You have that ready?
yeah, I've got it up. So all I did is I did a screen share overlay, and I chose. So I'll do it again. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to go into. Let me go into live demo mode. So I'm going to go into screen share overlay down at the bottom here. Double click on that, and I'm going to choose from Ecamm Live Beta. I'm going to choose, where is it? Comments and reactions. Now I get this guy, and now I hold down the option button to crop out the sides here. And now I can say, in the immortal words of Doc Rock, I can embiggen this. And now I've got my my comments reactions that will scroll as people put them in. And I can also scroll up and down just on my desktop. The challenge with this is that you very well could end up with comments that you don't want on your screen.
And I will share too. If I have my my Ecamm for Zoom window, where, you know, the Zoom meeting that we're in right now. I have it just reduced slightly, like it's not at 100%. It's maybe like 85, and the text looks blurry. When I make it full size, then it's crystal clear. So just something that I'm noticing as well. In addition to that,
When you're sharing stuff using a virtual camera, whatever you're sharing, having it full screen really makes a difference. That's why I would always vote for more screens rather than bigger screens. Right? If you have the option between, I mean, if you're happy with your ultra wide, good on you. No complaints. But if you ever have the option to go ultra wide or multiple smaller 4K or 1080p screens, I would go for multiple ones and then let everything be full screen.
I like that.
Yeah, I typically do that as well. So I have a 4K monitor here that's set to 1920 by 1080, and if I'm actually sharing, like say, a presentation or something, that's always going to be full screen. And then with an Ecamm, that's sharing that particular screen as part of the camera output. So that is good practice, I think. David, what you said is at least it gets you better quality then, because if you're sharing something that's only, you know, this big within your screen, it's not going to be a good resolution.
And we have to make those 4K screens 1080p because we can't see anything on them when they're 4K, right?
Yeah, I can't.
We're
Yeah.
old. No, we're old. We're old.
These
And the
don't
text
work all
is
the
so
time,
small.
you know. I'm refusing though to put my font size on my iPhone up. Once that happens, I'm done. That's it. I'm not doing it. I don't care. Not yet.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm 47. It started to happen to me this year, where I was holding my iPhone out here at night in low light. I'm like, oh no. But anyway, different conversation for a different day, guys. We thank you for I've been thinking that an hour is a little too short for us, even on a regular basis. So I did notice that last time we were closer to 90 minutes as well as today. So if it's all right with you guys, I think that 90 minutes probably could be the standard, especially since we're only doing it once a month. So I see a lot of thumbs up and head shaking. So that's good. That's
Can
good.
we just, Margaret, can you clarify your question? Sorry.
Let's see. I'll read it out loud. Margaret, are you able to unmute?
I am.
Oh, great.
So this happened a long time ago. I usually just use my Ecamm for recording. And then I do it that way. But with this new integration, I want it to be able to do what you all are talking about. So I loaded it onto my computer, and I must have a setting wrong because it was like screen after screen after screen after screen after screen after screen, all
Oh,
on top of
do
each
you
other.
mean the infinity loop?
Yes, that's what I
So,
mean.
okay. Okay. Which usually happens when a virtual camera is being reflected back. Like if I try to screen share something that my camera is already accessing, it will create this infinity loop.
I don't know how to fix it though.
Tell us more. Tell us so that we can try to help you.
Can I make a quick suggestion?
Sure.
So I I tell everyone I work with, I tell them that these three buttons up here, you guys know what I'm talking. Oh wait, let me. Sorry.
Yeah, the scene types.
Yeah, the scene types. These are the devil. Don't you should never use these. These are awful because what ends up happening is you end up with stuff like you just described. But in this case, what I would suggest is click on the camera.
Okay.
Click on the camera one, and that will whatever the scene is, it will immediately set it to just your camera.
Okay.
And that will, my guess, if I had to guess, I would say you're doing some sort of weird screen share right now, and that's what's causing it, like Tatiana said. So I would click on that camera. That's what I would
Okay.
try.
I'll give it a try. Thank you.
And then the other important step that I want to suggest here, and let me share a live demo mode, is hopefully I am, yes. So now I have to move my Zoom window out of the way.
Yeah, please, God, I don't want to look at myself.
So if you go to the scene menu up here, right? So we're in the Ecamm menu, you click on scene. always start with a new empty scene, which is just a black screen, and then you're adding things to that. And there is a way to make that a default by going into the Ecamm preferences. Let me bring that over here, Ecamm preferences. And then let's see, is it under general? I always forget exactly where it's located. No, account, stream,
It's under video.
record. Under video, thank you. Under video, default source mode, change it to blank. So it by default, I think it actually is camera that it goes with. Change it to blank, and then this way I'm going to make a new scene now. So if I'm in my scenes window, just click the plus, or if you do the shortcut scene. Now this shows up because I have show in background for all of mine, the white wall, but if you don't, it will automatically show a black screen. And then this way you avoid those issues. The one that's been ridiculously hard for me is anytime I bring in a video file, if I drag the video file on here, video takes over, dominates. I can't do anything about it. For the longest time, I had no idea what to do. Now I know that if that ever happens, I just go to source and go to blank, and it will go back and take away the video file domination that happens. But I just wanted to share that,
I'm right there
setting
with
the
you.
preferences.
Same exact thing, Tatiana. Yeah.
I ran into that early on because I noticed that pill there that has the 3 icons that are the devil. It doesn't have a blank option, only has the 3.
Exactly.
It's a little strange, actually. You're right. It's up here. You've got the 3, but then when you go to source, you do have the 4. It's it would be nice if there was another button there for
0 is a number, Blank
Maybe
and
like
0 are the real things.
a picture of an empty void or something. I don't know.
Ed,
In
you
any
have a
case.
question here. Let's see pop up. Ed, if that video file domination is happening, I love that you approve of my term here. Is the video still somehow in the scene bloating the profile? No. So that when I changed it to a blank scene, it took that away, and at least that's what I think. I was not
But-
able to bring that video back in.
Right, but Ed, videos, Neil, correct me if I'm wrong, videos are not saved in your profile. Videos are the one thing that if you move them, Ecamm won't be able to play them. You have to find them again within the Ecamm interface. So
That's
I don't,
right. So video files are a reference. So it's just a reference ID within Ecamm to where the video source file is. The way around that is if you convert it to a WebM format, then those are saved along with your profile, and they can be quite big as well. So.
And
Great.
some of you may not know what WebM file means, but I think that is a good thing for us to do next month. I think that's
Yes.
a really good resource and a great tool. That's a multi-step process. And I'll show an example of how I've used it in my class, and then Neil, David, or anybody that wants to share how they use WebM files as well, more than welcome to. But I think that's a really great takeaway for next month that we can learn together that will really help you in this Ecamm world when you want to share videos with sound.
That's why my profile was so big. I had the WebM because that's also
Interesting.
supports transparent videos with transparent backgrounds, which I love.
That's a
Yes.
great thing to focus on. You know what else we may want to put in the parking lot for next week, Tatiana, is I'm just thinking about overlays, is web widget overlays and how to interact
Oh
with
yes,
them.
absolutely. Yeah,
That could be
those
cool.
yeah, those two can go hand in hand. So that's a good idea. Does that sound good to everybody if we focus on widgets and WebM files for next month?
Sure.
I have a free downloadable WebM image on my website. So talk about that too.
Cool, definitely.
Absolutely.
Matt, that's awesome.
If you'd like me to link it on our site, if it's appropriate, feel free to let me know. Send along.
Will do. I will do that.
And Margaret, you're very welcome for our suggestions. Thank you for bringing it up. That's what we're here for, here to help. And welcome to Ecamm, because it sounds like, or re-welcome, sounds like you're picking it back up again after all, which lots of us go through the stages of it.
Oh, by the way, you just reminded me. Wait, this is for Margaret. If you're not a paid customer yet, well, you should be. But if you're not a paid customer yet, when you go to check out, use this. Here, I'll put it in the chat. Use this discount code.
And I appreciate that, but I've been using Zoom since 2007, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry.
No. I appreciate it. Thank you.
If any of you are renewing or whatever, or you know someone who was looking, if you use that discount. It's a 25% discount code
That's
because
great.
for the
That's
Zoom
huge.
release that we just did. Yeah.
It works on
Nice.
renewals.
I'm not sure about that actually. As I was saying that, I was thinking to myself, I'm not sure that works. It may be on,
To try
just
it out.
new ones. You certainly give it a shot. Sure.
Beautiful, everybody. Well, so because I'd like us to figure out a way to stay connected and support each other, what I'll do, Matt's suggestion to do a Google form where you can add your contact information and then any handles you want to share on social media, such as your YouTube channel or LinkedIn profile, so that we can all stay connected with each other. And maybe you want to reach out to Neil because he said something you like this month. We have a way of doing that. So I want to build a directory of ways that we can continue to interact throughout the month, knowing that Discord is the place to go. If you go into Discord, the Ecamm Discord server. Is everybody here on Discord?
I am.
Great. Yes. Okay. So Darren, are you in the Discord?
I'm not, but I will today.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you in the Ecamm for Discord or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Well then, once you are in Discord, I just want to show any of you who might not know. When you go to Discord, right, all these crazy things happen in Ecamm. You would scroll down to craft rooms and look for Ecamm for educators. The reason it's not here is because I favorited it, so it comes up first on my list here, but it will show up in the craft rooms, wherever that just went, here. Craft rooms here, it will say Ecamm for educators, and that's where we are posting stuff with each other that relates to the Ecamm for educators group. So this is our chat space, and then you have the website Ecamm for educators to have the resources and the links and all kinds of things too. If you guys have one more minute, I want to check to see if my audio issue that I had yesterday on Zoom is solved. So I'm going to do what David doesn't like. I'm going to tell you that I'm about to share my screen. I am sharing sound and optimizing for video, and I'm sharing. Can you guys let me know if you hear Neil in this video? My guess is that you probably don't hear it because I also don't hear it.
No.
I can't figure out. I hear you guys, like, Matt, I just hear you talking. I can't hear the video. You guys can't hear it. And the minute I stop sharing and I play the video, I hear the video playing in my ear. So it happened yesterday too, and I have no idea what the
This
deal
is a Zoom share, not an Ecamm share.
Correct. I actually yesterday eliminated, I disconnected, I closed out Ecamm and just tried to do it through Zoom, and I still couldn't get it to work.
I'm at a loss. Sorry.
And the
So-
audio source that shows up was the Zoom audio app, which is what I believe it should be when I'm sharing audio in Zoom.
So you're trying to share you're sharing the video in Chrome as a screen share via Zoom, and you want it to play into this Zoom meeting, and you actually configured via Ecamm for Zoom, right? So I think the problem is one sec. Zoom is sending that out into.
I'm going to interrupt for just a second. I'm
Yeah, go
going
ahead.
to, sorry, I'm going to pass host to you, Tatiana. I have to jump off. But just love to all of you. And I will see you all soon. And I'll post the recording later tonight. Sorry.
Thanks, David. Ciao.
No worries. Take it easy. Cheers, David. Let me just think about this because it's
know,
not
it's
not what you think
really
because it has
odd.
to come via Ecamm. So you have to send the audio out from your Zoom share via Ecamm, and your Zoom output is currently going to be your or whatever you've got it set to. So select your speaker in Zoom effectively is going to be, well, in my case, it's coming through my headphones, which is my audio interface. But I think you still have to have,
My
if I'm not
speaker-
wrong here, go ahead.
My speaker is the Shure MV7, which is what my headphones are connected to.
Yeah. Okay. What is your microphone? Sorry, your headphones set to on your your output on your Mac set to. So if you go to your little Mac speaker settings, what is that set to?
Shure MV7, the same.
Okay, so
here.
it's the same. All right, understood. So I think the problem is, where's that setting in Zoom? It's all over the place. Hang on, Zoom. There's so many settings now. That's the problem.
Bye, Marty.
Audio
See you soon.
routing.
So, Marty, let us know about helping to make those tutorials for you, and happy to jump on that project with you.
Let me just take a look, Tatiana, as well. Zoom settings in here.
Have any of you guys encountered any issues sharing audio? You have, Darren, right? You were shaking your head yes too when I did it earlier.
Last week, the same thing happened to me where nothing was coming through, but I had my wife come in via Zoom, and she not only heard it, but it was absolutely blasting. But on my end, I couldn't hear anything at all in terms of.
But she could hear it in the Zoom meeting.
She could hear it in the Zoom meeting.
So slightly different from this case, which because you guys couldn't hear it either, right? This time, so that's a slightly different issue, but still an audio sharing a issue with when sharing a screen.
You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was different. Yeah, sorry.
No, but this is like, it's a similar problem, but slightly different because she could hear, whereas you guys cannot hear. Now,
I'm just going to play a YouTube video and then share this and see if you can hear it. And I'll just tell you how mine is set up. Let me just find an appropriate one. Not Duran Duran from 1980, which is normally mine. No, it's okay. I'll just share Kat's video. Hang on. All right, so let me do share screen, wherever that's gone. So share. Oh, Zoom. You got so many windows. Zoom. I'm going to just share Chrome, and I'm going to do share sound. And you get the option to share sound when you do your share Chrome window. Is that right? Okay. So
yep.
I'm going to share.
And I did click share sound.
You can't hear anything, right?
Nope. We see it, but we do not hear it.
But you can't hear it. Okay. Now I can hear it in my headphones, even when it is playing. And I think I can. Yeah. So I can still hear it in my audio here.
Weird. So that's a third different scenario.
So what I think is happening is that the in Ecamm, in my preferences, what is my speaker set to in Ecamm? Right, tell me if you can hear it now.
Nope, still can't hear it.
Why is that? So let me. Oh, hang on. This is why.
Anything that I show, for example, if I show
now
this
we
overview,
do hear
let's
it.
actually.
Now we
okay,
do
so,
hear it. And you hear it
so,
also, Neil?
Yeah. So all I did was enable in Ecamm under the audio settings, broadcast system audio, because the audio within your computer still has to be sent out of Ecamm, which is the input to Zoom.
Yep.
So
I did do that yesterday as well. So that's in Ecamm preferences under audio. It says broadcast system audio. Did you change it to all the time?
Yes, because you're not screen sharing in Ecamm.
So,
you're screen sharing it.
Right.
So any audio now that comes out, and then you'll get another fader in your sound levels, which is system audio in Ecamm, in your in your sound levels. So as soon as you enable broadcast system audio all the time, you'll get the system audio pop up in your sound levels, and that's going to be unmuted, obviously. And then when you play a video or share anything, that should work.
Let's see if you guys can hear this. All right, I don't hear it. Do you guys hear anything?
No. And I'm not sure why you don't hear it, because what is your your main Mac output is set to your microphone. And what's your speaker settings set to in Ecamm in the audio settings? It's the same. SM7B is a V, sorry, MV7, sorry.
In Ecamm, my sound level. Hey,
No,
Randall, I know you got to prep for class. It was really good to meet you also, and would love to hear your experience joining today. I hope to see you guys soon. Yes, Darren, you as well. Any of you that have to head out, the recording will be on here if you ever have this video issue, sound issue as well. But thank you for being here with us today, guys. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you, and I hope to see you again next month. It's always the what Tuesday is it today? Is it the third Tuesday of the
Third.
month? It's always the third Tuesday of the month at 4 p.m. Eastern. Ecammforeducators.com is all you have to remember to be able to join us. So bye, guys.
Hey, Tatiana, I just realized I've been watching Neil
Default
all this
camera that's
time.
being picked up by Ecamm. This
Oh,
is the camera
good.
that I
So
have
you've watched his
connected.
videos, you mean?
And there's a couple of things that I do
Yes.
with regards to cameras
Very
before I
good.
start to create my
Okay,
main
let me
scene,
see.
which would be
Tatiana.
me talking to you,
You can
as
hear
you
the
see.
video.
I can hear myself, which is weird. It's not a good thing.
That is weird, except that I am no longer sharing. Am I? Let me see. I thought I stopped sharing.
I don't think it matters now because you're broadcasting system audio. So anything that you
Oh,
play
right,
on your system,
right.
we will hear.
You are correct.
Where do you go
Okay.
to find that again? The broadcast system audio? In your
In Ecamm Live Beta, in Preferences, under the Audio tab, there is one called Broadcast System Audio, and the three options are never, when sharing the screen, or all the time. Okay, so Neil, so you're saying that, let's see, so now, oh, Sunny, you're muted.
Yeah, I couldn't find my Zoom screen. I just found
Okay.
it, and I now have it all the time. That should help.
Now, Neil,
Okay.
is there a danger in having share system audio all the time on in Ecamm? Is there any problem with that?
Well, any notification and anything that your Mac will play could also be broadcast. So there is a way to change that setting as well in your Mac. So you can, I'm just going to find it. There's lots of different settings here, just to confuse everybody.
To mute notifications, you mean?
Well, no. I mean, there is a sound preferences. So if you go to your Mac and go to sound settings on your Mac, you'll see something at the top called Play Sound Effects Through, and select the selected sound output device. If you keep that checked on, then technically, as long as you're not sending the same audio setup in Ecamm Live Preferences as what you're actually setting your Mac to, you should be okay, and it shouldn't then send all these notifications through Ecamm. What I tend to do though is if I know I'm going to share something, I'll just turn the system broadcast system audio all the time on, and then when I've finished my presentation, I'll switch it off, just as a matter of good practice. Or you can keep it on, it's up to you, or you can mute all your notifications. I mean, there's lots of things. Just remember that anything that potentially is going to be played on your Mac could be played during your live stream or your presentation or whatever it might be.
Okay, I'm going to try this one more time, Neil, to share. I'm going to share Google Chrome. I have share sound and optimize for video clip checked in Zoom.
Okay.
I'm clicking share, and I'm going to play Neil. Do you guys hear anything? Because I still don't.
No, we don't as well. So what is going on with
And when I now click on my speaker icon for my sound settings, it's now on Zoom audio device.
Can you move that away and now force it to play through your MV7?
Yes, and I do hear that. Do you guys hear it?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
What are you seeing on your panel? sorry, on your sound levels panel, you see system audio within Ecamm?
It's not moving. It's
Okay.
system here. I will do live demo mode
Yeah.
too. Also,
Because I know Mark also said, do you have original sound for musicians on it? It should be on by
Let me
default because
stop.
as soon as you enable Ecamm, it should be on by default. Let's take a look at your screen.
Okay, so let me just move my Ecamm window over. So here's my sound. I'll bring it up closer, and I'm going
We're
to.
just seeing the video at the moment, Tatiana. We're just seeing YouTube and.
1 second. I thought I was in Ecamm live demo mode. There we go. So when I was playing where did my sound panel go? Sound panel, where are you? Anyway, window, sound levels. There you are. Okay, so system audio is it was here 100. It was not muted, but nothing was happening. Nothing was moving.
Disable echo cancellation.
Disable echo cancel. Try.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Zoom, I'm going to screen share. And I'm going to share my entire desktop. Actually, what's on here? I forgot that we're also streaming this to YouTube. So let me see. And so I'll share desktop too. And then share sound and optimize for video clip are both turned on. Share and okay, playing this. And system audio, nothing's happening, and I hear nothing.
Okay.
So strange.
What is your
So I'm showing you here too.
what does your Zoom output say? I can still hear you, so it's still working.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, the weird thing is, like, I can hear you guys, you can hear me, but it's about anything sharing audio here. I have no idea. You were asking me what my settings were?
Oh no, I'm getting echo from you. And hear myself.
I stopped
So that's the
sharing.
echo cancellation kicking in. Yeah, that's. No, we can't hear you, Tatiana. And I'm getting
can't
some.
hear me?
Oh no, I can't. No, I can. Yeah, you were, and now I'm hearing myself again now.
I hear you double as well, and myself.
Oh, it's all going crazy now.
Ay, ay, ay. And let's see, sure. And B7. I'm not hearing myself twice now. No, yes, I am. That's happening again. Let me go back to my system preferences.
Maybe disable system audio for a second.
Yep, I've disabled system audio. So does that take care of
Yeah,
it?
that's good. Yeah.
Okay. And let's see, inside of. Oh no, I'm still hearing myself twice.
Yeah, let's come back again.
Selected my short MV7. Odd. I have no idea what's going on. Original sound for musicians. I do have background noise removal set to low. And the original sound for musicians looks like it is turned on. Let's see. Are you still hearing me twice?
In the meeting. So at the top of the.
I used to be able to see. Are you guys still hearing me twice?
Yeah.
That's got to be annoying. I used to be able to see in the meeting if that was set. I right within the meeting, like on the top right hand side of the menu. I can't tell anymore if it is original sound for musicians being turned on or not.
You can't tell in the meeting whether it's enabled or not.
when I go to the audio settings, before this week, it would say original sound for musicians as an option right in the top right hand corner of the Zoom menu. I don't see that anymore. And when I go into my audio settings, let's see if I can, I'm going to show you guys what I'm seeing. So here's my settings in Zoom, this window here, and low for background suppression, and then original sound for musicians has the check on it. So I'm assuming that it is turned on.
Maybe
let's
if you
take a look
turn
at
the
that.
echo
Whoops.
cancellation off.
It was off. I actually tried putting it on, and it seems to not have an impact.
Oh,
But I was
something's
hoping
gone
that
weird
was
on my
going to
side
fix it.
now.
Anyway, I'm going to, Neil, make you the host for a second. I'm just going to leave and come right back to see if that fixes. Although I don't hear myself now twice. Do you guys hear me twice?
Sounded fine to me.
Okay. That seems. No, now it's back. What the heck? I don't know. We're just going to have to call this a mystery. I've got to hop off now, but thank you for trying to resolve this, and even though it added another complication here.
No worries. Let's if you want to sort of touch base tomorrow in a time that's convenient for you, I can have a look with you and we can just try and troubleshoot one-to-one and see what the deal is.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. It'll be interesting to see if we hear this in the YouTube recording as well. If we're hearing the double audio. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's not. But in any case, thank you for a great time today. And Mark, it was really great to meet you. And Sunny, good to see you again.
Yes.
Okay.
Take care, guys. Have a great time. See you in Discord, or we'll connect.
Okay. Bye. I'm trying to leave.